We last played, you guys fought very in the water weird that took out Grimlock. And
No com.
is each clipping out for anybody else?
I just said no comment.
Okay, yeah, I got that. It sounded very digitized.
Yeah, it was that way here.
Okay, that wasn't just me. Alrighty. So Miramar had grabbed him and was taking him out of the temple. I can only presume where. So we can start with that and decide where we want to go from there.
So I would have dragging him along straight to our horses to try and throw him up on one to make a rush back.
Take him back to town.
Yep.
Omelet, I presume.
Yes.
Yeah. You can certainly do that. It still will take you a good 6 hours, even at a fast pace, to get back to Hamlet. So it will be crack of dawn probably for them as you're arriving. So, and I assume all the rest of you guys are going with him.
Yes.
I know Grimlock doesn't have a choice, but I guess James would as well.
Yeah, I recall we disengaged from the water weird and had it settle back, and we left with him carrying the door.
Alrighty. So, we will start with you guys in town, then in Hamlet, in the village of Hamlet.
I would look to Brother Johnny. Is there anything that you can do for him at all? Is there anyone in town you think that can help? Droon has helped us before, but
I don't honestly recall. I don't think the cleric was high enough for Raise Dead. I think we ended up for where something else we needed, and we had to go back to the other town. Was it Burblemont?
yeah, way back to the main city.
I believe so. I don't know if the cleric tier is high enough for a raise.
So there was, just to remind you guys, there was 2 clerics. There was Turgeon, I think is his name, of the one at the temple. And then there was Booker Chesterton, who was the one that's on site as your liaison to, what's her name? Who's totally slipping my mind. Jolene and Luna. You know, the guy, the female that you are technically working for. And then Daroon. I mean, those are the 3 divine casters that you know of.
Now, Booker Chesterton arrived to the town later on, right? He hasn't been here.
He was here with you at one point for sure, because he talked to you. You guys had shown him some objects that you brought. In fact, you guys may have some things that you wanted to show him that you haven't yet as well. But the last time you guys spoke to him, you had spoke to him in the inn and discussed kind of goals that he wanted you guys to kind of get to at some point.
How far is the main town?
Burblemont is like a week.
I'm gonna head to Droon, unless anyone objects. Just knowing that we got assistance and, I don't know, trying to have some sense of urgency instead of a week's worth of travel.
Okay. Jeroen is in the, and I can share the map. Where's my map? Not that I need to, but.
No, he's in his little druid alcove area.
I would share that one, but that would probably crash all you guys. It's the big pretty one that I can't use. Let's see. It's on this map. It shows it as a house, but it's not actually a house. But it's a grove. But yeah, that is where he is at, and he is aware of your presence before you are because of his companion, the bear. He comes out and greets you and seems concerned that you're dragging a body behind you. And looks to you for answers.
My friend needs help. Once again, if there's anything that you can do for us, we need your help again. And I would just present his body.
Okay. Check something real quick. So he says, your friend has passed beyond my abilities to do anything, unfortunately. And of course, Grimlock looks quite dead. His lips are blue and he's kind of getting a little stiff. But he says that, have you tried the temple? Have they offered any assistance?
I came to you first. I will certainly be heading there now.
He says, well, if they cannot help you, I might have something that can, but it's risky. So he turns around expecting you to leave to go to the temple.
Yeah, and I would just, at this point, ask for Brother Bjarni. Any help? Can you please help with the temple? Take him.
Of course, we'll go there and see, but I'm afraid I don't know if they have the means, but we'll find out.
All right, so load him up, load his body up, and head over there.
Okay. So there is, you are greeted by a gentleman called Calmer. He is the acolyte underneath Turjan, and he, I can possibly alert or bring Turjan here, but I know he is not going to be able to help your friend. If you want him, you'll need to tie it to the temple, and then I can go wake him. And that's pretty much what he says. He's, waiting for you to respond to what he said. He seems pretty matter of fact that he's certain your friend is dead. He doesn't think that Turjan is going to be able to help you. But that's kind of his conversation.
Yeah, I think our aide is going to be back in the city.
Make the trek.
We certainly can. You can also go back and see what Daroon was talking about if you're willing to take on whatever he's asking for.
I think at this point, based on the answers being given at both, my character would be more likely to start making the.
Well, until you find out what Daroon was going to say, you don't know. It may be a lot faster. It just may be more risky, which is pretty much what he said.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. If he's indicating a risk, and this one's saying it's just not possible at all, I think my guy would be inclined to trap.
Just go to Verberbach.
Yep.
Okay. Well, if you guys want to do that, you can, make plans, pack up, get, food and supplies, and wrap up your dead friend and drag him all the way to Verbabank. While you're there, those of you that need to train can do that. And we can just hand wave all that time and get to that point. Is that what you want to do? Is that what the party wants to do?
I think that's the best course of action. I don't know. I don't know what the druid thinks he can do. He said he couldn't bring him back, so whatever the risk is, I don't know if it's worth it. We won't have that risk in Verbalmont.
I'll give you a hint. It's something that can bring him back.
Yeah, my character doesn't know. I know what you're saying, but my character doesn't know.
I think my thought process would be we are doing work for the church and Lady Jolene and them in the main town.
You certainly are. Yep.
So I think they'd be inclined to assist if possible.
Okay. Yeah, they absolutely, if they have something they can do to help you, I'm sure she would, based on your previous experience with her. And if that's what you guys want to do, if that's what the party wants to do, we can get to that point. I just want to make sure that's what everybody's going to want to do.
Well, I vote yes.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I'm a yes.
James?
So.
Yeah, I'm
James,
good.
Okay. All right, so we'll just...
I think Grimlock said yes, too.
I am not commenting because I'm
Garton grabs his head and nods.
I think he oozed yes.
All right, so we will just... you guys have packed up, and you have traveled all the way to Verbabank. You have met with one of the people that you spoke to before, not Jolene proper, but her people, and they direct you to the major temple within Verbabank, which is St. Cuthbert, and you bring him in, and I assume you were asking if they could bring him back to life, which they say they certainly can, and Lady Jolene, I'm sure, would appreciate having you back on the task, but it's we're going to need some time and a donation to the church for time and expended resources.
Sounds good.
What size donation are they looking for?
For the materials and time that it's going to take, it's going to be 5,000 gold pieces.
I got that covered in jewelry.
Yeah. Look, use my cheat sheet. I can see you guys actually have 5,301 gold, not counting your, stuff you don't have in gold, but just straight up gold. But if you guys will go ahead and minus all your coins and gems or whatever it is you're going to use. Keep in mind Grimlock is dead, so you could take all of his and make him pay for it if you want. If he has enough, that's totally up to you. It will take them several days to prepare and cast the spells and do everything they need to. So you can assume you're going to have at least 3 days to wait. Those of you that want to get trained and such, well, obviously it's going to take you 2 weeks to do that on top of this. So, and I think
you guys want to do it in coin or you want to do it in jewelry?
Either way.
Do you have jewelry to cover the whole thing?
Yeah.
Was he sounding gibbery to you guys?
Yeah, he did. In fact,
God
I've got
dang it.
one piece of jewelry that will cover that. I don't know how important it is. I
Damn.
don't know. Yeah,
What's it called?
gold neck chain.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it looks like. Yeah, if you want, just go ahead and remove it, and they will take that as payment, and begin. They will take his body from you and tell you where they'll be if you want to observe the process, or otherwise they say come back in 3 days. And if your friend has agreed to come back, he will be here.
Just want to know if they can instill in the new Grimlock not to go running right back at the thing that killed him. You know, he done smacked him down once. He jumped up and ran right back at it. So, you know, if they could just...
You want them to impart wisdom? Is that what you're saying?
Wisdom, maybe a little caution. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. It's
Well,
kind
I
of
want
odd.
I want to look into, once we get that stuff sorted and settled, I want to look into training, because I need to train as well while
Okay.
we're here.
I would
Okay.
be training as well.
Yeah, I think all of you guys were going to, except for maybe Garten. I think Baez was too.
I still got a ways to go.
Baez, because he's not here. Okay, so those of you that are training, the one that comes to mind first is Barney. Barney, your cost to train will be nothing. You're going from 4th to 5th, which means I think you get a new spell level, right?
Correct.
Okay, normally I would make you pay for that, but I'm not, because Jolene is covering your stuff. I think the same with Miramar, because he's not got a spell level, I don't think, either.
Not for a while.
Also, if you guys get the chance, when you're not actively doing something, kind of sort out your inventory into where items are. Like if you got a gold ring or gold chain and you're not wearing it, put it in your belt pouches. You got rope or something, throw it wherever it is. And I just mentioned that because I was looking at Miramar's. But I think there was a case last time we played that I needed to know if something was in something, and the inventory was just kind of spread all over the place. So we can assume that Barney and Miramar are going to be in training for 2 weeks. Grimlock 3 days later. First off, they're going to contact you via Speak with Dead. And they're going to ask you if you are willing to return to the land of the living.
Do I get to answer?
Yes.
Yeah, I got to kill this water piece of shit.
Okay, they can only ask questions. They can't
Absolutely.
tell you anything, so they can't really respond the way they probably would. So,
I have work left to do. Absolutely. Put me in, coach.
Okay.
This is where the wisdom comes. Can you guys add it now?
Not really, unfortunately. So, the other thing is, on the following, whenever Miramar comes back, hold on, I'm trying to get Baez in the thing, and I did it twice. Mistake. They contact probably Barney. Even though you're in training, you can go and pick up your friend and make sure he's taken care of for the duration of your training. But when you visit him, whenever they first tell you he is available to speak to, the first thing you know, they've got him in like this kind of skirt, like kind of what I guess what a skirt, like Scottish skirts, like if he was in Scotland, and he doesn't have a shirt on. But the first thing you notice on his shoulders are 2 handprints. They're kind of they're not. I mean, when I say handprints, they're like burned into his flesh on his shoulders. And if you ask him about them, he doesn't know why they're there. And I will let you speak to the rest of everything else, Grimlock. But yeah, he and the priests are kind of not sure where those are from. That's not normal.
Do they look old? Like, are they like freshly burned?
They look like scarred, burned, something, like, and the prints are bigger than like a normal, large person. They're like almost ogre-sized hands. I mean, they're pretty big, but they're both on his shoulders, one on each.
Like wrapped, or like just like palm printed placed, or like somebody, like if they grabbed him and like were pulling him by his shoulders or something.
Like somebody grabbed him and was pulling him by his shoulders.
Yeah, probably like some sort of scar from the thing that killed me.
Okay, I'm at a loss. I don't know what that would mean if they're that. I mean, they're old, so I don't know.
Well, they're not ancient, old. They're just, I mean, it's just, it looks like something maybe very hot or very powerful or something had grabbed, and where it grabbed, it caused scars on his flesh. They're not fresh, there's not bloody, there's no scabs. So in that respect, they are older.
I asked the other folks, the priest present, if they've ever seen or heard of anything like this.
That was the first thing they said. It's like, no, we are not sure what that is. We assumed that you would know.
Where's that damn wizard?
I don't know.
Could ask him.
Well, let's see. When you're examining the scars, Barney, you can see there's kind of on his neck as well. There's this little circle, and you at first you thought maybe it was just from cuts or wounds or scar from before, but then it's really light. It's in his neck, and you look at it, and the symbols on it look like religious symbols, and that the shape of it and the kind of the style of the circle kind of gives you an impression of a sun.
Like the son of Palor?
Maybe it kind of reminds you of that. The symbols kind of remind you of some things that you've seen in training, not anything that was really understood. And the temple priests, whenever they spoke of them, they said that was the language of the angels, or in this case, the hands, the creatures that worked for Pelor, or any of the other gods, the good gods. And why it's there, what it's for, you're not sure.
He's been touched by the gods.
Yeah, he's touched all right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm not sure what this means. Not even that. It's like, I mean, I suppose I could ask my trainer people if they're, or my trainers like general clerics or like Palor folks.
Well, you're training in Valuna, so, or Verbabank, so, the major religion there is Saint Cuthbert, but they certainly will train any other good. So that's the ones you're training with.
Okay. Well, other than just asking
there are.
them.
I was gonna say there are temples to Pillar there, but somebody to train you is, that's you're a little bit above what they would, be able to. You'd need to go somewhere like Greyhawk or some other city where the major deity worship is not Pillar or St. Cuthbert. All right, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know what to do with this as far as this goes. So he's willing to come back. I take it. So I guess we should have them continue their work.
Yeah, I mean, at this point they've brought him back. I'm just saying that's what he looked like when he came back and you first saw him.
Okay, gotcha. So he's conscious and talking and doesn't know
And
where they
he
come
doesn't know
from
where
either.
they came from. He doesn't remember a single thing from the other side at all. All he remembers is falling in the temple and waking up here.
Okay. Well, we need to get him set up where he can rest and recuperate now.
You can certainly put him up in any inn or tavern or whatever for the while you guys are training if you want. So.
And I'm not sure if you want to allow me to train Wilson because I have enough experience to level up, but I'm not sure if do you lose experience when you die.
Well, by the rules, what normally happens is you don't get experience for that adventure piece. But were you at enough experience to level before we started that day?
No, I was really close, but I wasn't there. I guess you must have given me experience.
I did, and I didn't think about that till after the fact. Normally, what happens is when you die and you get res, you come back with 1,000 experience. If you were close enough to where 1,000 experience would have leveled you up, then we can just do that and move on. I'm not terribly worried about it. And I wanted to mention it before next time. I didn't want to just spring it on you and say no, you can't train. But I wanted to make sure, especially since you and Luke are new. Generally, when you die, you don't get experience for that part of the adventure. It's kind of the penalty, more or less. I mean, you also are going to lose a comm point, which we need to take care of at some point. But you also don't get the XP for that, except for the fact for when you get res, you're supposed to get some experience from that. But at least that's the way we do it. That's probably a 1E thing. It may not even be in 2E anymore. But
man, look, I am not. You do it the way you want to do it. I don't care. I just saw you gave me experience, so I just assumed it was that way. But if you don't want me to level, then I won't level.
No. I want you to do it so that we can go ahead and sort that out. Because I mean, micromanaging levels and stuff is not the fun part of the game. So I'm okay with you leveling up. I just wanted to say in the future, that's probably what I'll do is I'll say, all right, you died. You're not going to get XP for this. Everybody else will get their piece, and we'll move on. But in this case, it wouldn't have mattered anyways, because I think you were less than 1,000 from leveling anyway. So
yes, I was. I was very close. Yeah, so can I adjust my con, or do you have to do
that? I think you can just do it on your sheet. Just change. Let me check. I want to look at because it should adjust your health automatically. So go ahead and change your con to 17, and it should reduce your con bonus hit points down automatically.
Okay, so I'm assuming there's a gear somewhere I need to hit. Oh yeah, there we go.
On gear the abilities, yeah.
Con, we're doing one.
All right, your health went down. Yep, it automatically did it.
Okay, and now I can level up.
Yes.
All right. Okay.
Yep. Bill, yes, we are. We can't hear you if you're speaking, by the way. Yeah, I can't hear you for sure.
Yeah, I don't hear him either.
How about now?
Hey.
You're low, but I can hear you. Actually, that's probably me. You're low because I turned you down the other day. We're good now.
Yeah, sorry I'm late. I was dealing with kids. Everybody's training, I guess.
Yep, you guys have went to Verberbonk to get your buddy back to life, and it looks like you have enough XP to level as well. You're going from 3rd to 4th? I don't 4th level doesn't get you a new spell level, does it? No, it doesn't. It's 5th.
I'm not sure.
It doesn't. It's 5th. It will give you new. Yeah, you'll get another spell or something, but you just won't get a new spell level. So the way I'm going to do that is when you get new spell levels and when you get new proficiencies, let's say, for the non-spell level guys, you're going to have to pay a certain amount depending on what it is. Like if you're learning how to, sew baskets or something, that's one thing. But if you're learning a new spell level or something, it's going to cost based on your level.
I see.
But
okay.
None of you guys are needing it for now. It just will take you 2 weeks. The rest of normally you would pay in general to level, but Jolene is sponsoring you guys to for your basic leveling.
So Wilson, I don't see the classes on the right, so that I can drag the fighter over.
You need to load the player's handbook. And it may not show because I may have changed the name slightly, or I certainly updated it, so that's probably why.
I definitely have it loaded.
Can any of you other guys see classes?
Yeah, I had to manually go in and load that stuff when I went into the
Go to the library, and you see the player's handbook loaded already, Charles?
Yes. Okay, I had to check classes up at the top. Okay, got it.
Oh, you meant okay, sorry. I thought you couldn't see the actual classes. You couldn't see the classes button. Gotcha.
Yes.
So what you can do for that is there is a Create PC button in the library on the top. You can click that or click all, and it'll show you all the buttons on the right.
Okay.
Something for the thief and the warrior. I have the thief and the fighter's handbook. I think they're completely done. If sometime you want to review those to see if you want to add a kit, we can discuss that after, though. But normally you do that. Yeah, I'm talking to you and Garden. Normally you do that at character creation, but I didn't have that stuff ready at character creation. So we'll look at it later.
So Mike, in second, refresh my memory on level up. Do I add an additional spell to my spell?
It'll automatically do that for you. You just drag and drop the class, and it'll add the spell. I mean, you can look at it and make sure. You see what you see now, and then watch, and one of them should go up one, and which would probably be second level goes up 1 point.
Yeah. The spell slots increase. I'm talking about learning a new spell that gets added to the book.
You get a new spell when you get a new level. You don't get a new spell every level.
Okay, I got
it. A new spell every spell level, not class level.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I did mine, Mike, and it didn't give me my wisdom bonus for my 3rd level spell.
Yeah, it doesn't automatically do that. So the first time you get a new level, you need to adjust it for that, and then from then on, it'll remember what you've set it to.
How do I adjust that?
On your character sheet, let me get it open so I know what I'm talking about. On the powers tab, when you are in, what is it called? Starts with a P. Preparation mode. Go to the mode down on the bottom and set it to preparation at the top. Now you can see your spells per level.
Yep.
Change the third level one to whatever it is that it should be. What's it supposed to be, by the way? 2? Yeah, there you go. So next time when you level, it'll keep whatever you have there and add whatever it says is additional. So if you get a 4th level one based on your wisdom, which I don't think you will, but if you did, you would adjust that the same. But all the rest of them I did for you early on, I think.
Yeah, I thought so.
I'm looking at setting up having a modifiers thing the way you can do other stuff, but it adds a lot of complexity that I'm not sure people really want. But it would make sure that kind of stuff you could pre-do that at the beginning, and so I could automatically do it for you. But it adds a lot of stuff to it to do that. I want to do it mainly because of Rings of Wizardry. So that I can automatically multiply your spells by 2 if you've got whatever one does that. But right now I can't.
I was also looking for that book on the share about where I got the spheres allowed for Paylor. I couldn't find it.
It should be on your character sheet now. I think under abilities, specialty, Paylor, level 1, level 5, automatically save versus spells that deprive priest of sight. Is that the one you're talking about? Or
Well,
are you
there's
talking about?
that. Okay. No, the actual spheres. I got them.
Okay, yeah. There's a spheres access for Paylor there as well.
Cool, cool.
Yeah,
All right, Wilson. How do I do the double specialization thing that you said I needed to do at level 5?
That's very
I notice
simple.
I have. Yeah. Okay.
Go to your go to your skills tab, and since you're going to do it for your axe, right?
Yeah.
So on hit and damage, change that to 3 and 3, and that's it. And you can change that text to double specialized instead of just specialized if you want, just so you'll remember. I would also you also should have some like it says weapon proficiencies used. You have 6 of 4, so you'll need to have 5 used because you added a new proficiency. So you have 1 extra. Is that what we're saying?
Okay.
Were you going to use that? I thought you were going to use that on something else. History.
I already did the two-handed weapon style. We did that earlier.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure what else I would use a weapon proficiency on unless I wanted to also specialize with the throwing axe that I have. I don't know if that is that a thing?
I'm just trying to wonder why you didn't spend it to begin with when you got it. I'm not sure. I'm wondering if maybe you were going to spend it on something else.
Well, I didn't do any. Did I get a specialization point when I leveled the 4?
I don't know. I'd have to go look and see when you get them.
Yeah, I don't know how often you get them. Where does it say how often you get
them? It should be under your class listing. One of the tables on the very first thing at the bottom. It'll say proficiency slots, table 34. Warrior gets 4 initially, and 1 every 3 levels after that. So 6 got you 1.
I'm not 6 though. I'm at 5.
Oh. 4, 5, 6. So you should have 5, not 6.
There you go. So I don't know why it says 6 there.
Unless I let you use your intelligence one?
I don't know.
I don't remember. I don't know. Can't say. But yeah, so it should be 5.
Tell me what you want me to do, man.
Set it to 5,
Change it to 5?
And if we find out later I was wrong about that, we'll look at it later. I don't remember.
I don't know that I can change that, by the way.
Oh, I thought you could. Maybe you can't. I may have set that to DM only. There. Yeah, and if you do something like pick up a kit, like Myrmidon would let you have 2 more weapon proficiencies, we can redo that, but right now, yeah. Baez, if you want to buy some spells, you certainly can if there's something you really would like to while you're in Vermont. It's a big city. Access to various spells, depending on what you're looking for, may be available.
Okay.
So how do I add more spells, Mike? And I think my preparation looks different now.
1 second, let me look. It's because you're displayed. It's a summary and not displayed action. So you've got 2 things. Yeah, there you go. Is that better?
Okay. Yeah, that's better. Now, how do I get like a 3rd level spell bracket thrown in here?
So you just drag and drop the spell from the spell list onto that, and it'll add a new spell bracket. You don't have to make it. It'll automatically do it because it's a different level.
Gotcha.
I love max rolls on HP.
Did you?
Yeah, give me some of that, dude. I rolled nothing. I've rolled low every single time. I have 32 hit points with the 17 con.
Yeah, I got a 10 this time.
Nice.
Yeah, we need to trade hit points, man.
Back in the
Either
old
that or
days,
I start shooting bows and you start getting up there and tanking the.
yeah, back in the old days, the Rangers always had more hit points at first level because they started out with like 2d8, I think.
Yeah.
And the Barbarians were the same way. They started out with like a huge amount of hit points. Also, I think they got double combos too.
Yep.
So I'm letting you guys do your leveling up and figuring out spells and stuff. I'm not pushing you. Just kind of wait. So you tell me when
I
you're
don't
ready.
need to do anything else, right?
No, you're good. Everything else should have been automatically done for you.
And no thoughts on why I would have had 6 specializations instead of 5. Like how that got like that, because that's not something I could have changed.
I don't remember, so I can't say. That's something I'll think about in my sleep. I will say, the first morning that Grimlock wakes up, he has to. You have this memory of some time that you're not sure when and where. The place was kind of dark, but really not dark. You were in kind of like a dream. It was, you felt like you were in a room or in a grove of trees or in something. Your memory is kind of foggy. The edges of things were just kind of foggy. But you remember speaking to this tall person dressed in gold colored armor, and it was like brighter than gold. It was, how gold is really sharp and clear and bright. It was even brighter than that. And he was speaking to you and told you to remember to tell Barney something. And what he tells you is that the foe that you think is not, what's the word he's going to use? What's the way he's going to say it? The foe that you think you're fighting against in the temple is not the true, or is a deception. That's basically what he tells you. He tells you that you think it's the Lady of Fungus when it's not, and he tells you what he says. He tells you that he says, I've told you all I can tell you. Any more is interfering in mortals. But you must remember this. And when he says that, he grabs you by the shoulders, and then all you can remember is just things passing by you really, really fast, and then your dream is over.
All right. Well, I will pass that on to Robbie. And basically, so when I was under, man, one of the only things I remember is I was confronted by this guy, armored warrior, and all gold, shiny gold armor. It was radiant, and he told me I needed to speak with you and tell you that what we think we're facing in the temple is not correct. It's not actually the Lady of Fungus. It's something else.
Okay. It sounds as if you spoke with an aspect of Paylor. So I should probably listen, eh?
I think so.
Yeah.
He looked higher level than me.
Since once he's told me this, I ask Grimlock if I can check his neck again where I saw that symbol before and kind of see if he's still got those marks on him or if anything's changed.
The handprints are still there, but the symbol that was on his neck is gone. So you let me Let me do something.
So
real
that
quick.
was like a message waiting light.
We'll check something, and you can certainly that can be your assumption. Your religion skill kind of gives you the same impression. You'd think that the mark was to pass on some information so he would remember when he was brought back.
Awesome.
Okay. All right. So if there is nothing else that you guys want to do, we can hand wave time and jump back to Hamlet if you guys would like.
There was
anything...
just one thing I wanted to do real quick, Mike.
Okay.
I wanted to purchase the spell Sanctuary if I can find
the spell Sanctuary. Isn't that a cleric spell?
Yes,
so.
I think it's divine spell.
Yeah, let me look again. Because I filtered on... Ah, crap. I didn't filter it right. Sorry. Never mind. Because I'm thinking, that sounds like a cleric spell.
Yeah, it is.
That stupid spell filters. I forgot to filter out the... There we go. All right, never mind. Go ahead.
Is there any spells that you wanted to try to get a hold of while you're here, Bill? Bill? Is that the only thing that you wanted, or was it something else?
Magic missile. I may not be able... Wait.
Okay. Please, somebody please tell me I'm not the only one hearing him cut in and out.
Yep. Magic miss.
Is everybody cutting in and out?
No.
Can you guys hear me? Hello?
Yes.
Okay. You there?
For a minute there, I wasn't hearing anybody say anything.
Nope. Got real quiet.
Yeah, I switched servers because I thought it was because Bill just started going. I'm gonna go push to talk because something's going on.
Look.
It's like there's some really nasty latency. And Bill, you are cutting in and out from me. Is it anybody else?
Am I? Oh crap.
Yes.
No, he sounds fine to me.
I'm going
I'm
back to
hearing
push
him
to
okay.
talk. Okay.
You might switch servers on the Discord server, maybe? I don't know.
I did. I moved to South. I'm thinking maybe it's okay now. So, Bill, you were trying to say something? I'm sorry.
It's okay. I was saying I will look to see if I can purchase a magic missile spell, because I can indeed cast that. It's alterations and illusions I'm not allowed to.
Okay. You can certainly find that at a discounted low price of 300 gold, because that is one of the most common spells that people look for. You can certainly find it for 300 gold. It is one of the most common spells. Discounted 300 gold.
Awesome.
It's like the Walmart of spells.
Bargain bin.
Yep. So you can
Brian,
mark off gems.
Brian, one thing I'll tell you, kind of OOC kind of thing, you know, I don't have all the background that you guys have. So, you know, when it comes to these monsters, like we were fighting this thing, I didn't know anything about what that was. And for me, one, I didn't know I couldn't damage it. And two, I didn't know that it wouldn't chase us. So, when I was rezzed, I'm not Brian, Robbie was still in melee range of that thing. So my immediate reaction is to go back into combat to help him, right?
Well, that's and Gart was kind of in characters. Look, teach this dude some wisdom. That thing whooped his ass.
So if I'm getting in over my head, feel free to let me know. Hey, that freaking monster is out of our weight class or whatever, because I just don't know.
And I wanted to clear something up. You said you couldn't do any damage to it. You were. You and Luke both, Spangly, Miramar were doing damage to it. It was so reduced. I mean, it was less than, certainly less than half. So it didn't say the response was, resisted entirely or invulnerable. It did said nothing. But that wasn't the actual case, and I'm not going to explain exactly what was going on because that's one of kind of its special things. But I mean, you could see that you were doing some damage, but it was so reduced that it was not very much.
Yeah, I was just going off of what was in the chat window.
Yeah, and that's
resisted or whatever.
Yeah, that's kind of why I wanted to clear it up. The reason I do that is because of the way that creature is. It has some weird things that I can't mechanically do. So what I do is I set up to just resist everything, and then I manually adjust what it actually did. So, but it was effectively, reducing it a lot compared to what it normally was. So.
Speaking of which, whose +1 mace do I have?
It's Robbie's.
It's mine.
Barney.
Would you like it back?
A Morning Star.
It should be the Morning Star, I thought.
Yeah.
But yeah.
A Morning Star.
If you want to give it to somebody else, just throw it in the group party sheet thing and somebody can grab it.
Yeah, one thing you might want to do in town, Rob, while we're here, is you might want to make a couple of continual light items for people that need them.
He's probably the only one.
Yeah.
And you certainly will have time to do that in the 14 days it takes you to train. So if you wanted to, do something with your spells, you certainly can. But if you want to do that, right click on your inventory sheet and mark a, continual light stone and however many you have and where you put them and that kind of stuff. Or if you want to put it on your shield or something.
Gotcha.
And also, I'll kind of, I do remember fighting this thing.
Yes, you do.
So I'll definitely kind of get the cleric and the mage together and kind of, or really all the party, and kind of have a little powwow about our observations in the temple, maybe at the inn or whatever, to kind of, because it sounds like we're going to be there a bunch of days. We'll have time to talk one another about what we, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to, basically say, so it looks like that level of the temple has changed, since we dealt with the earth elemental people and got rid of the high priest or whatever. It looks possibly like that floor is now being influenced by the water faction within and so, I know when we were, at the big room with the portal, that there was a water, what appeared to be some sort of water monstrosity there. And then we ran into this, water monster in the fountain, and then everything's damp all over the place. So just going forward, what do you guys think about, weapons or things we can do to damage monsters that are associated with water like that? Because I didn't feel like I was doing a whole lot when we actually were duking it out with this, with the hands in the fountain kind of thing.
Well, I have heard in circles that often creatures of water, particularly things that are what's the word I'm looking for? Summoned. Often respond well if you use spells like Purify Water or I think that was it.
Is that something you can do?
No, I think that's a cleric spell.
Okay, I'll slap Rob on the back of the head. Say, wake up! What do you know about that?
I can't do that yet, but that would definitely be something worth looking into.
Is there a lesser version of that you can do?
I don't think so. I can create food and drink, but I don't think I can destroy food and drink. It's not something that is done.
Now, another option is creatures made of water can be frozen.
You can do the reverse of create water.
That's
true. Is a first level spell.
I don't think I'm high enough level to get my hands on anything that would freeze water. Let me.
I can cast drink.
Yeah, I can't access the water elemental sphere.
Okay, that makes sense.
Can you shine enough light on it to boil it away?
Not yet.
So one of the things I wanted to mention when you guys first met with Barney after his 2 weeks of training, and Barney hasn't even noticed, but the rest of you guys, when you see him, you notice that his eyes are different. They're not the iris, the iris and the color parts are gone, and where those were is just kind of a light that comes out. And if you like, you've ever played WoW or seen those characters, how their eyes are kind of, they don't have an iris or anything. It's just like a light coming out. That's kind of what his eyes look like.
Whoa. What's up with your eyes, bro?
I've been granted a special ability by Palar.
Oh yeah? Tell me about it.
I can no longer be struck blind. Let's just leave it at that. As I was before. He's taking care of that problem for me.
Doesn't want you out there embarrassing him, does you?
Yeah, exactly.
So another thing I wanted to talk about is, when we were in the temple, we also encountered a door. I don't know if you guys remember that door we ran into that appeared to have some sort of magical lock on it. Bjarni, I think you looked at it and were able to discern some information about a spell or something that was on it. Can you think of anything we may be able to get here in town, or any abilities that you guys may be able to use or learn here that might help us deal with that door?
Well, I now have access to magic, counter magic, dispel magic nature. I could try that. I can also possibly get divine intervention to remove any curses we may encounter.
Well, when you looked at the door, was it a curse, or was it like a ward or some magical ward that was put on there?
I just know there was something on it. I'm not sure I could determine which one. I would go with magic, but that's just a guess.
All right, how about you, Jareth?
Well, my skills, I might be able to get past a magic lock, but it's not very likely.
I'm sorry, I said the wrong character. I meant Bayaz. I'm looking at the icons up top, and your icon looks like a magic user.
It's because I'm an elf.
No, it's because the upper left-hand corner is got Z's on it, and I thought that was like some kind of fire coming out your hand, but it's actually Z's.
AFKZs is what it means.
I hadn't moved my mouse across the screen there in a while, so.
Gotcha. So what do you think, Bayat?
Well, to answer your question, a locked door can be bypassed with a spell called Knock, but I am incapable of casting that because it's an alteration.
Well, this was not a locked door. This was a magically warded door. I remember.
Yeah.
You know, you guys looked at it and you guys kind of figured out that, hey, we can't jack with this. And I'm trying to figure out if we can get anything in here in town that will allow us to jack with the door.
If it's magically warded, your choices are to try to dispel it or use something that'll bypass it. Now, I'm looking now, I think Knock does bypass it. But, like I said, I can't learn the spell. I don't know if we could possibly start looking into a device or something else like that that would allow us to make use of that. Let's see, it'll open locks, shackles, chains. Yeah, it might not help if it's... It'll open wizard lock doors too, so it does counter magic.
So Wilson, you know the door I'm talking about, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what did you tell them about the door? Because I remember they did rolls or spellcraft rolls or whatever, and you told them something about the door. Like there's a magical ward on here or something. Can you remind us?
Yes, it was a magical ward, which is a cleric spell. Lift the warding.
Okay, so we'll probably need to dispel magic, and I'm not high enough level to do that. But that's like a 3rd level.
But Bjarni, you can, right?
I can try. Yes, sir.
Okay, so we need to queue that up for when we go back. So, there we go. So we need to, you know, you said you can't cast Purify Water yet, right? That's too high level.
I don't have access to that, I don't believe.
Oh, that's what you said. Right. Got it. And is that something where even if you have a scroll with it on it, you can't use?
I'm not sure.
All right. Well, you know what? I've got some buddies now in the temple that help me out, and now that you guys told me that there's some priest mojo that we can use to deal with this water stuff, I'm gonna go meet with the high priest that helped me out, and I'll take Bjarni with me, and go meet up with him and talk to him about what we observed on that level of the temple and how, you know, it looks like that level of the temple has been taken over by, you know, a faction associated with the plane of water. And I'll tell him about the creatures we saw in there, and, you know, just tell him how we fought against this, you know, these sort of hands that came out of water, and how I felt like I wasn't able to do much to it. And it was very dangerous creature. And is there any advice you can give us for dealing with this type of creature in the future?
And where, to be clear, where were you asking that?
At the temple where I was resurrected.
So the priests themselves, the ones you're talking to, I mean, you're talking to the folks that are in the front of the temple, and
no, I wanted to talk to the guy that did it.
Did the res?
Yes.
Okay. Well, if you want to speak to him, you will need to tithe to the Temple of St. Cuthbert before you can do so. He doesn't just meet anybody.
I will definitely do that. Sure, man, absolutely, man. I'm all about that. I'm gonna tithe this guy personally for helping me out, man. I'm very appreciative. I'm gonna tithe the shit out of him.
Okay, how much are you gonna tithe to the church?
Now you paid with jewelry, right? For the res, is that correct?
Yeah.
All right, let me see what I got. I got. I'm gonna tithe 1,000 gold. I have that in my inventory.
Okay. So the acolyte accepts your offering to the church and says, "Please wait right here." He has you sit in a pew, and he brings you one of the. As he leaves, he sends one of the other acolytes over to offer you maybe hand washing or something like that while the guy's off. And eventually the priest comes and says that he has heard that you want to speak to him about something, and he listens to what you say, and you go through your spiel.
Well,
and,
the first thing I do when he comes out, man, I'm gonna shake his hand, kiss his hand, or whatever, thank him for helping me, tell him I really, really appreciate it. You know, and just I'm eternally grateful to this guy for bringing me back.
He says, "Do not be grateful to me. Thank the glory of Saint Cuthbert, and show his way to everyone."
Absolutely, I will do that in the future.
Okay. So after that, then you tell him your spiel, and
Yes.
He says, "So you are dealing with the elements of water, and you want to know what you can to fight them." I mean, that's I'm trying to get what you want. Is that what you're looking for from him?
Yes, because I expect that we will encounter more foes like this. You know, we've already seen 2 different instances on this floor already like this. I can't imagine. I got to imagine we're going to run into more. And I just, running in with my weapons, I just don't feel like I'm doing a whole lot. So I'm wondering if there's any advice you could give us that would help.
Well, he's kind of in the same situation that Robbie's character is in. He doesn't really have an access to a lot of spells that affect water, and that would be his immediate advice. I mean, if you're looking for advice for a fighter type, what you could do, he is not really sure, honestly, what a fighter person could do against something like that, other than have.
I'm not asking for me specific. I'm asking for the whole party, kind of thing.
Yeah.
What can we do? Not necessarily what can I.
Well, the first line of defense against such creatures is going to be something like protection from evil.
Okay.
That is a spell that even wizards have access to that can at least protect you from their physical attacks. As long as you don't engage them, the spells will hold them at bay.
You said as long as they're summoned, right? Summoned or extraplanar.
Well,
yeah.
I suspect...
Which water weirds and water elementals and fire elementals are definitely fit that.
Aerial servants, elementals, imps, invisible stalkers, salamanders, etc. I think is listed here in this.
Yep.
Well, I suspect that a defensive posture will help us in some instances, but I have to imagine that there's going to be at least 1 or 2 encounters where we can't just rely on defensive abilities, where we're actually going to need to be able to combat, actually be able to take something down that's associated with water. And you're telling me that there's nothing that anybody in our party can do that you know of other than defensive abilities. Is that correct?
Well, that's typically, at least from the divine side of things, that's generally where the power comes from, is defensive. It's not. I mean, there certainly are priests that can call down, a pillar of fire and strike down their foes, but by and large, most of their spells are defensive in nature. Druids will have some things that are different than that, summoning insects and that sort of thing, but in general, that's the cleric. I mean, that's what he's going to say. As far as your group, he is not familiar with casters, but anything that like the mage specifically. I mean, anything that would deal with destroying water would probably help.
Okay. Is there anybody else in town that you think I should speak to on this that might be able to give us a?
He says he can give you the name of like a sage, but he is it's going to take him 2 or 3 weeks to do research, and it'll cost money for him to do that. His time isn't free as far as the sage. So.
Okay, yeah, please give me his name. We'd like to talk to him. We're going to be in town we're in town for a while anyway.
The name of the sage that, and he snaps his finger at one of the acolytes, and they bring him a scroll and a one of those quills and a thing of ink, and he writes a name down and writes a little blurb, something of where he's basically writing a recommendation of you to go visit this person, and the name of the person is Ebba Karkdar. It is a dwarf, in fact. That is a sage.
Okay, and he's here in town?
She is, yes.
Okay. I will thank him very much for his time and his advice, and just tell him that we're trying to do our best against the forces of evil. It's just that these forces of evil are very powerful. They seem to be more powerful than we are in some aspects. So, and just ask him, is there any advice you have for us, before we leave? Any additional advice?
Pray hard, pray long.
I promise to do that. And before I leave, I will say a prayer in the church there to St. Cuthbert. Okay. I will, to find a quiet corner and kneel down and say a prayer to St. Cuthbert and thank him. And once I leave there, I'm gonna go find Bite, and I'm gonna go, talk to him about, what the priest said about the sage and in town, and ask him if he'll join me, and hopefully Bjarni will go with me as well. I'll ask him if we can go together to see the sage, to see if, perhaps he can give us some advice.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not a problem.
Yeah, and I'll also mention that the priest said that she's a dwarf as well, which means she absolutely knows what the hell. We can absolutely trust this person. I mean, I'm just stoked. He told me there's like a female dwarf sage person, so my interests are completely piqued. I'm like, wow, it's like this really smart person that's a female dwarf. As far as I'm concerned, this is like she's like the best person in the world, so I'm definitely going to see her.
Okay.
All right, so we're on our way to see the sage.
1 second, I am.
So while we're strolling over, I'll tell Baez here. So, man, I got this cool new ability to make this light that never goes out. I put some on my spell. I was wondering if you could use an item enchanted in a similar manner.
I don't need one. I can see in the dark thanks to the assistance of my familiar, but it actually might be useful. Because I have heard there are creatures that prefer the shadow, and we may run into these foul beasts. Certainly throwing an object into the middle of the room that's casting light might put them at a disadvantage.
Very cool. Yes, that sounds like a good idea. So I'll give him a I guess a stone or something, whatever he wants to easily carry, and put that on it for him, Mike, so he can have one.
Okay, make sure you put it on your character sheet, please.
Okay. Let's see.
Alrighty, so you are wanting okay, sorry, I'm in a position I'm ready to answer your questions if you're going to ask questions.
Are you talking to me?
I wasn't entirely paying attention to what you guys were doing when I was looking for something. So yes, I'm talking to anyone that was going to ask questions.
Okay, so one thing, so I'm taking Bjarni and Baez to go see the sage, and as we're walking over there, I'll mention these guys. It's like evil water monsters. Do you guys think that holy water would do anything to those guys? If we mixed in holy water with this evil water, does that affect? Just kind of brainstorming.
That's a good question. I wonder if it would.
I could certainly try it if we find one again, or go back to the same one, which I'm assuming you're hinting around at.
Not necessarily. I just suspect we will fight, more of this. We will run into more of this stuff. We've already seen 2 different instances of foul water magic in there. So I can't imagine that we won't encounter any more.
So things that purify water might work better. There are potions that do that.
Ooh, yeah.
Instead of just holy, like a sweet water potion.
Okay. So let's go talk to the sage first, and then and then we're gonna group back up with the party, and I think I'm gonna send the rogues on an errand.
Okay. So the sage is in a library of sorts, and books and stuff are everywhere. Everything's lower though. It's sized for someone that's not human sized, and you are greeted by the sage herself, and not by some sort of in between person that would introduce you. And the first thing she notices is Grimlock. And she just kind of pushes all the rest of you away and strolls up to you, just like, a really sleazy sort of, girl that's just, and she just like looking up and down at you, checking out your backside and everything. She seems very interested in your form. And in fact, and just to be clear, she doesn't have a beard.
Baez just threw up in his mouth a little bit.
Well, I'm very receptive, and I'll follow.
Yeah. She's and the appearance, the description I have is imposing. She's very broad, but she's like double E's, I guess is what I'm trying to say here without being too rude. And I really don't want to get this deep in this, but I'm trying to go with what the thing is saying here. So
yep,
you might want to get deep in it.
Do what? No,
you might want to get deep in it.
Yeah, she would. I won't, because it's embarrassing to me. But I'm just trying to kind of give you an idea of, she's very she was woman? Yes, and she's like she's very touchy with Grimlock, and all the rest of you guys though, she just totally ignores you when you speak. She just ignores you and kind of waves her hand off at you. Other than that, she's very happy to speak to Grimlock and seems very polite, or not polite, but cheerful. to do so. So, with that, I guess you're going to give her the same sort of long question that you did with the priest.
Well, I'm going to kind of open up by, I'll tell her that, where that we've been at the Temple of Elemental Evil, and I'll give her some background there. And so we came back to town because I was taken down by some magical water creature. And I'll tell her about the water creature, and then, I'll say that, so we, the temple, the priest over there, what was his name? Remind me.
Back in Hamlet? You didn't ask his name.
Okay. Well, we were just the guy I was just talking to. I don't know his name.
You can just say the priest at the temple.
Okay, the priest at the temple, gave me your name and said you might be able to give us some advice. He, and when he said that you were a dwarf, I couldn't believe that, that in this town I would find, one of my kin here. And so I grabbed, a couple of my party members and rushed over here as fast as I could. And I never expected, and now that I'm here, I never expected to, see another dwarf, let alone one as beautiful as you. And I'd ask that you help us, because, and I'll give her the spiel about, the issues that we're having in there, and that the observations I've made about this level of the temple, and try and see if she has any advice for us that would help us out.
Okay. So she seems very receptive to the way you're speaking to her and everything. I want you to give me a percentile roll just to roll it out in the open. I'm trying to determine her specialty, and what you're looking for is 25 or below. So the water is not her specialty, but she will do what she can to research. She says she basically wants you to sit down for the whole day and speak to her and tell her everything. I mean, minute details of all the things you encounter and the creature that killed you. And when you tell her what happens, she holds up her hand and says, "Stop." She walks off. She goes and gets this glass vial, and she hands it to you. And she says, "Spit in that." Do you?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. She puts a stopper on it and says, "Okay, thank you." She sets that aside. She says, "I'm going to use that later."
Yeah, she's got your DNA now, man. She's gonna make clones of you.
And then she lets you continue. I mean, basically for the whole day, you guys are spending time together, and you're explaining in excruciating detail.
If she wants that level of detail, I am going to, kind of, say, hold on, just give me a few minutes, and I'm going to go grab the rest of the party. That way, if there's any information that I'm missing, they could offer it up. I just want to make sure she has access to all the information that we have.
She says, "We don't need them. You're fine."
Okay, got it. I'll just keep going.
So while you're having these, long she breaks out a bottle of wine and wine glasses and has bread and cheese and some kind of cured meats and stuff while you guys. She's making a date of it while you guys are doing it. She says, and during the whole time she's taking notes on a scroll and writing all this stuff down, and she's asked specific things about symbols you saw and writes them down and takes all these notes. And she says, okay, she's got everything she needs after the day. She says it's going to take me at least 2 weeks to find anything of use. Wow, my dog is going crazy.
Okay, and, good. And I'll tell her where we're staying, and if she needs any other information from me or any other details, feel free to come see me. Likewise, if you're looking for a dinner partner, I'd be happy to join you for dinner sometime.
She says, well, there is the one last discussion we need to have, and that's the payment for my work. Doing this kind of research for 2 weeks is I normally charge 500 gold for 2 weeks. In your case, she will charge you only 250 for the 2 weeks.
And let me ask you a question then. I have 47 platinum on me. Is that enough?
47 times 5. That's how much gold it is.
Okay. So it's 235. So I have enough, so I'll pay her out of my own pocket. You said
250, yep. Okay. So go ahead and mark that off.
I'm doing
What I would like to do, we're kind of almost at 10. What I'd like to do is take a break now. We'll come back at, we'll just say come back at 10. That gives us 12 minutes. I need to let the dog out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I want to, after we're done talking to this lady, I want to bring the party together back in that evening over dinner, and I want to discuss our plan and tell them about what the sage said and how long she's going to need. And
Okay. We can just start there then.
okay. So I've got everybody there. Give me a second to finish this to re-up. Hang on.
We can wait 5 minutes if you want to keep eating, man.
No, it's okay. My daughter came in and told me goodnight at the same time. I'll tell them how, we went and talked to the high priest, and he didn't have a lot of advice for, from the from the holy side of things, but he did give us the name of a sage here in town. She's a beautiful dwarf, very intelligent. Can't say enough good things about her. I'll tell him her name and where she's located. We went and visited her, and I gave her all kinds of information. I've been there all day, and she said that she feels like she can come up with some advice for us, but it's going to take her a couple of weeks to research this. And I've went ahead and paid for the research up front, but we're going to have to wait until she's done. And like I said, it could be upwards of a couple of weeks, but I think we're going to need that time anyway, because there's some things that I want to check out here in town. And so what I'd like to do is I'd like to so this is what I'm thinking. And I'll say, Jareth, I was hoping that you could go canvass the local alchemists and see if they have anything that might help us. And not just defensively, like healing potions and whatnot, but also things that we might use to deal with these water creatures, the magical water creatures that we've seen in the temple.
Right.
And then I'll tell Garton that I was thinking you could go to any of the local magic shops that they have here and see if they have anything in there that might help us. And then Miramar, I was gonna hopefully you could go and find the sort of the head of the guards here, and or perhaps like where we did the training for fighter, and just basically try and find like a very advanced man at arms here in town, somebody who really knows, and maybe they could give us some advice. And I'll continue to check on the dwarf lady throughout this couple of weeks, and make sure she doesn't need anything else from us. And then, Bjarni, you can just go sort of reflect at the temple, and see if you can, maybe look into the holy water thing that we talked about, or see what else you can come up with from talking to the other priests that are at the temple. And then Baez, you can go to wherever the mage tower is in town, and do some research and see what you can find out there.
Good.
And I was thinking that would probably keep us busy for a couple of weeks, and you never know, we may turn up some useful information. What do you guys think?
It'll certainly keep us busy for a couple of weeks.
Maybe I can look into acquiring some scrolls as well, because that wouldn't be a bad idea to have some extra artillery backup on paper,
Yep, I'm sorry if you need money to pay for it, don't come looking to me, because between paying for the research and tipping at the church, I'm broke.
I've got plenty of money.
How's everybody fixed for healing potions and ointment and whatnot? I know I've got 1 potion of extra healing and 1 charge of Teagum's ointment left.
I've got 4 applications of ointment and 2 potions of healing.
Nothing.
I've still
Yeah,
got
I've
some
got
healing and extra healing.
I've got holy water and oil. That's it.
And Wilson, my my ointment, it has 2 check marks next to it. That means it's been used twice.
Yep.
Okay.
I think I've got 1 dose of Kyodom's ointment here.
So it sounds like we have a couple people that don't have any healing at all. Is that correct?
I do
It
not.
is.
Yep. So Jareth, if you see some good deals on healing potions, it sounds like we could use a few of those.
I'll see what I can do.
All right, Wilson, how do you want to handle that? You want to just do each person individually?
Yep, that sounds good. I just wanted to make sure you guys were finished having your conversations. So the first thing is we can just start from the left. We'll start with Jareth. Looking at the icons, people
All
that are
right.
connected. We'll start with Jareth. What is Jareth's plan and goals?
So, as Grimlock suggested, I will try and find out where there are some alchemists in town, and see if they can recommend anything for fighting things from the plane of water.
Okay.
I'm thinking something along the lines of a sweetwater potion or that sort of thing, but they might have something more esoteric than I can. I'm just a thief.
Well, you ask around, your normal sort of folk, down the street or in the inn or in the taverns, and try to get a indication of some alchemists in town. There are 3 of them, and the first one you visit, he says, he's got these vials of what look like white sand with iron filings in it. He says this is salt infused with iron. You use this, make a circle, it'll keep out any creature that's an elemental, specifically water. This one is made specifically with water because of the salt, unless it's from the ocean, and then it won't work.
I don't think these are from the ocean. I think these are well, wherever they've been called from. They're not being called from.
Well, there are saltwater water elementals, and he goes into this long diatribe about the differences in, aspects of, the green ones versus the blue ones versus the kind of white ones.
I'll be patient. I'll listen. But in the end, can he give me a demonstration?
He can certainly show you how to use it. He doesn't have a water elemental on hand to test it for you, but he guarantees his components to work as described. He says he has 6 vials of of that particular mixture. He says that'll be enough for a good, a circle about 10 foot, so you could put a good amount of people in 10 feet, as long as you're not jumping around a lot. And he says,
So it would take 6 vials to make a circle 10 feet in diameter?
no, one of them will do 10-foot circle. So you could do 6 10-foot circles with 6 vials. If you want all 6, he's certainly willing to give them to you at a discount. But he's just telling you how many he has in stock.
So one doesn't need to be able to use magic to use this.
No. You just need to know how to use it properly.
Because it looks suspiciously like a protection from evil spell.
No, it won't keep out ghouls and ghasts and ghosts and things. Just water elementals. It's the salt and the iron. You mix those together, put a little bit of oil in it, they can't get in.
Does it work up to a certain power of elemental? Are there elementals that are too powerful for this?
He says, as with anything, I can't, tell you, that it'll work against the prince of, water elementals, but I can tell you against most normal ones, when, my product has worked, no one has come and told me that it hasn't.
There are two schools of thought about them not coming back and telling you your product. One is that it worked fine and they were happy. The other is that they were incapable of returning.
Well, I can't, speculate, but my assumption is that it worked and they were able to do what it is that they were trying to do with, around water elementals.
So how much is your mixture there?
He says the vials are 150 gold apiece. You'll need at least a flask of oil. I generally use lamp oil. So whatever you have generally carried in your, delving into dungeons sort of thing, you could use that. You make a ring with the oil, then pour the salt and the iron on top of it, and you're good. It'll last for as long as the circle isn't broken.
That could be a very long time indeed.
Yeah. So you can see how it would be better than a protection from evil spell, which doesn't last forever.
Could I say in a doorway, just use a line, and would it keep the water elemental out from passing through the door? Or
assuming that they can't get around the cracks of the door, possibly. I can't really. My product is only created for the use of a circle, so I can't tell you exactly how it's going to work in that situation. My research is based on, the 10 or so sages and alchemists that have researched this, over the past centuries.
Well, sir, I think I will take a chance on one of your concoctions.
One? You only want one? Sure you don't
Correct.
want two? Two is always good. Actually, everything good comes in threes, so you should buy 3.
Well,
but,
if you would divide the price by 3, I could have.
Oh, you're funny. I could give you a small discount. Let's say if you're going to buy 3, and he pulls out a piece of paper and starts scribbling down some numbers and says, tell you what, I can give you 3 of them for 375 gold.
That seems reasonable, assuming that your product works as specified.
I guarantee my alchemy items, if you use them properly, they will work.
All right. So the people I represent, if these don't work and we survive the encounter, we will be unhappy and we will see you again.
I look forward to your response to how well it worked.
I do too. So here's 375 gold, and I'll fish it out.
He gives you the 3 vials, and the way you want to do that is just right-click on your inventory, add an item, and just call it whatever you want. I don't have an actual item that you can, this is something you just have as a RP thing, and then when you use it, let me know. Let me see if I can find
All right, gotta figure out how to add an item to my inventory.
Let me see if I can. I'll see if I can add one for you.
I got it edited, but there we go.
And just mark it down as 3.
Yeah, I just put ×3 on it.
Yep. And don't worry about the weight on it.
I put 0.25.
Okay.
Should be okay. All right.
He says, you wouldn't happen to be interested in some healing salve, would you? I just happen to have 3 jars.
Well, judging by the fact I just bought 3 vials, I'm a little short on cash right now. How much are the vials of
These are healing salves. Each one of them will have 3 uses. And he explains what they do, what they work, how they work, and it seems to be similar to the effect of Kedum's ointment.
Okay, so how much are they?
He says, well, they go for 600 gold a piece. They're very, very sought after because they're so useful.
I imagine so, but I haven't the coin for that sort of thing at the moment. So I'm going to have to pass on that. But I will consult with my compatriots, and perhaps I will.
Okay.
So I'll mark off the 375 from my sheet.
Okay. Was that good enough for you? Are you satisfied for your day's worth of work?
Yeah, I think so.
Bias, did you have anything you needed to do? So let me do a ready check to make sure we're not missing. Actually, we don't need everybody. All we need is Bill right now because Bill was wanting to do something, I think. Maybe Bill's not here. We can. Oh, well, looks like he's moving. Bill, whenever you're back, just holler. Moved his thing, so he went on AFK, but he's not talking. Garden. Did you need to do anything?
Well, we need to see if there's someplace we could find magic items, scrolls, that type of thing.
Well, based on your experience with that sort of thing, that is probably something best sought after by someone that uses them. If you're looking to buy scrolls or something like that.
There are scrolls that are usable by all classes, though, correct?
Protection scrolls, certainly there are, yes. If that's what you're looking for, I didn't realize.
Just any magic item, not necessarily for my class, but for party-wise, that would help us.
Well, like I said, there's certainly protection scrolls, but when it comes to divine scrolls or wizard scrolls, they don't sell them generally.
Not necessarily the scroll. I'm talking items.
Okay, so give me specifics on what you're looking for.
Wands.
Mm-hmm.
Any kind of weapons.
Okay.
But magic weapons. I'm not
Okay,
sure.
so that's
It's
what you're
not
looking
called
for.
not like magic shop, so sort of thing.
So
I'm sure, there's got to be this is Verbabonk, correct?
Yeah, we're in Verbabonk.
There's got to be a thieves guild that could, information wise, would let us know where those type of items would be available from.
There are those types of guilds in town, but you have not sought them out or become a member if you plan on working in their area. But I will tell you,
that's where he would first check, and he would pay his tribute or whatever that he needs to. He doesn't plan on applying his skills anywhere in this town without checking with the guild first.
So just your experience, your street knowledge, as long as you've been around, at least even in towns like this, there aren't places that sell magic weapons. A wizard working, in a college or university or something like that might sell a wand or something, but it would be to students or to past students. But there's not generally a place that you can just go buy. I mean, when somebody gets a hold of it, like if you go sell like a magic weapon that you've got, that thing is hoarded and stashed, and it's in family heirloom, territory from then on out. You'll never see it again. So buying a weapon or wands or staves or stuff like that is not going to be something that's possible. Now, if somebody steals it and wants to sell it, maybe, but that's not something that's common at all. Most people prefer not to steal from casters because they have nasty traps. That said, scrolls and potions are certainly an option. The healing ones generally, healing and other types of that sort of protection and or cure things is going to come from a church, whereas the other ones, like if you want a potion of flying or a potion of invisibility or something, you can certainly go see, an alchemist, or there will be potion, and I'm using quotes, potion shops, that sort of thing. But generally, you'll have to request something to see if they have it, and that sort of job.
So I'm going to check with Grimlock exactly what he's wanting me to find for him. And I'll tell him, I say, this stuff isn't, we're not going to find a place that sells magic items. We already know to check for scrolls with mages and priests. I'll gladly go with anybody and play banker, since he has the most jewelry on him of any character.
Well, I wasn't necessarily talking about from the, let's go to the temple or the mage tower and go see what sort of magical items they're offering. I was more coming from the approach of, getting in touch with the underground and seeing what you might be able to come up with there. Because I'm sure the local thieves or whatever might have access to maybe some like black market type goods that might be able to help us. That's kind of what I was thinking.
All right. Like I said, the first place he'd have gone to is to the thieves. He'd have made contact with them right off the bat, because he wants no bad blood with them at all.
Mm-hmm. I get that. And they are appreciative of you, telling them that, but they don't know you. You're not a member, and they certainly would, not interfere in what you need to do, but they're not going to reveal sources and persons unless you were a member of the guild, and that's something that if you were, you would need to stay in the area to do so.
What time frame would this take
to become a guild member? Well, first off, they'd have to take you on a mission and make sure that you're to see if you actually are as good as you think you are, and you'd also have to pay them a sum of money to get accepted. Also, like I said, this is something that once you do it, you are committed to stay in Burbabank or within the immediate region, and that's not Hamlet.
Right. He doesn't want to join a guild he's got to stay at right there. You can certainly try to bribe them.
It's your call, buddy. This is your time to shine.
Yeah,
you just tell me what you're gonna do, man.
He certainly says, unfortunately, I will not be staying in this area, or I would join the Fantastic Guild here if there was, any other means I could have persuading my party, and I would be greatly appreciative. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
I know what you mean.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the person you were talking to, her name is Mimosa. She is she looks, she's dressed like any sort of barmaid that you've seen in town. She's not wearing anything elaborate, but she says, I really can't violate the guild's policies. That's kind of the way they are to kind of to protect our members and where we get our and where we sell our items. For all I know, you could be just someone trying to get into, break up a black market ring. I don't know, for somebody that has one, which we don't. She kind of looks around.
Right. Hold on 1 second, Mike. Well, I thank her for her time, and as a token of appreciation, I give her this gem. It's a red garnet.
Okay.
Go ahead and it's 100 gold piece value.
Okay. She kind of looks at, tosses up her hand, and says, "Thank you." Puts it in her shirt, in her bra, or something like that.
And go back to Grimlock and said, they ain't talking unless I'm a member. And to be a member, I got to stay here.
Well, that's not going to work. It was worth a try.
Alrighty. So if Garten is done, we can go to Miramar. Were you going to do anything, or did you have a requirement?
So I'll go to the Fighters Guild, where we train. I'm just gonna seek out the master there and just really want to let him know what's going on and see if there's anyone there, any stories he's heard on how they've dealt with anything like
Dealt with the temple itself, or specific creatures, or
the water elemental specific.
The response you get from him, he's obviously not the highest level fighter in the city, but he is the person that trains. His experience is you need magic to fight them. It really depends, and also some of them require specific types. You can't use a sword against water, because it just slides right through it. You have to use something else, depending on what type of creature it is. Other than that, he has no advice. There's nothing, there's no magic, thing that will just kill them instantly unless you are a very high level mage or cleric.
I would just thank him for his time, and Miramar actually has interest in looking for healing potions as a.
Okay. Well, the Temple of St. Cuthbert that you guys have been to several times, they do have the potions of healing. They might also have the extra heals, but they're generally more expensive. But as far as healing spells, if you need some, or healing potions, those run 300 gold a piece, and they don't have an unlimited supply, but they have a good amount.
They got a wine cellar full.
No, I mean they won't sell them all because they need them in case somebody comes in and needs immediate healing, and that's kind of the quickest way to do it whenever there's not a cleric around that can cast heal spells.
If I can, I would buy 3.
Yeah, they can provide 3 for sure. So you want 900 gold for you.
All right, I'll pay the 900. I can't seem to edit my gold, by the way, in my character sheet.
Down at the bottom.
Oh no, I know why.
All right, well,
I got it.
Is that all you wanted to do?
Yep.
Barney?
I'll return and just I'll let Grimlock and them know. They didn't know any more than what we learned in our encounter.
Well, what did they say?
Stay away from swords, and magic is the key to dealing with these.
Like magic weapons? Or you mean magic spells?
He seemed to incline more towards spells themselves.
When he was talking about actually, as a melee person, he was saying use magic weapons. I mean, spells certainly at higher level will help, but he was specifically speaking from the aspect of a fighter type. And even then, some creatures of those types are, resistant to, swords slashing or piercing and that sort of thing. Bludgeoning tends to work a little better.
I would relay that then.
Okay. Sounds like we might be able to use that Morning Star as sort of a backup weapon. Might ask Bjarni if I can throw that in my inventory.
Oh yeah, that's. Yeah, I don't know if you're proficient or not, but it beats not doing any damage, hardly.
Yeah, I think he is at only a -2 with it because he's a fighter. Alrighty.
Yep.
So Barney, what did Barney want to do, if anything, other than train?
Yeah, I was gonna like Grimlock suggested. I don't know like holy water was. I know it's effective against certain types of undead, but is it? I want to find out if anybody knows if it's got any effect against extraplanar or like elementals. Stuff that's like conjured or summoned, that kind of thing.
Okay. So who are you talking to are you going to like the Temple of Pelor, or are you going to the St. Cuthbert Temple? I mean, and when I say Temple of Pelor, it's a small place where, you can go worship in Pelor.
Yeah, I'll ask around where I've been, I guess, um, training, which is the Cuthbert folks as well, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll ask around there because they're going to have some higher level dudes anyway.
So their response, as far as holy water and elementals, the uses that they're aware of are pretty much what you described. That the only uses that they know are against undead. There are certain holy relics that, if you put holy water in them, can cause some kind of response to that. It varies depending on what that relic is, but that's kind of the only uses that they're aware of for holy water.
Right. Okay. That's kind of what I was thinking, but I wanted to double check. And I guess Miramar's already been here and looted all their. Uh,
I didn't catch the last of whatever you said.
sorry, Miramar got some potions. I was going to see, do we need any more? I've got a little bit of cash here. I can buy some more if they're willing to sell some.
Yeah, they're certainly willing to sell you 3 more if you need them. And I tell you that if you really need one, we can sell you a one of the extra healing potions, but kind of keep that under your hat because we normally don't sell those.
Right. How much are those? How much of a donation does that require?
For the extra healing potion, it is 650 gold.
Okay, I'll take one of those and have that handy for myself or somebody. I can hand it off, whatever.
Okay. I don't remember. Do you have an extra healing on your character sheet? And same goes for Miramar. Did you have a holy healing potions on your character sheet that you could just change the number?
Nope.
I didn't catch that.
I have a potion of extra healing.
Miramar, did you have one at all?
Do not.
Okay, hold on. And you bought 3, right?
Yep.
You have 3, and then Barney bought 1 extra healing potion. Wow, you got a lot of blank lines there, Robbie. What's up with that?
I have no idea.
Okay, so I'm going to clean those up. If you get stuff like that where you get a lot, if you click on the pencil down at the bottom, it'll mark them with the little red things, and you can just double tap those red things, and it'll close them and get rid of them. And that's also how you can delete items. Every time you hit enter, it's going to make a new one. So don't hit enter, hit tab, or just stop typing. Also, Rob, put that stuff in bags, and same for you, Miramar. And let's look at Bias. Wow, Bias, your inventory looks awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. Took a while to clean it up, but
yeah. If you keep ahead, keep it ahead of it as you get to stuff, it's pretty easy to deal with. Because the stuff that's not is just thrown at the bottom, and you can easily find it. All right. So Barney, Miramar, I think the only person left is Bias. You wanted to do some scroll searching.
Yeah, just some maybe protection scroll, protection from evil, and yeah, if I can get my hands on other scrolls, certainly see what's available. But
are you looking for the 10-foot variety or just individual, person variety of protection from evil?
Both.
So the protection from evil single version is quite inexpensive comparatively to the 10-foot version. That one is going to be on the range of 500 gold per version for the 10 foot. The individual ones are 150 gold per.
Okay. 150 for the individual and 10 foot is 500.
Yep.
Okay. And how many of those can I get a hold
of? Probably as many as you guys have time to get. I mean, as much as you can afford, I would imagine. If you want a scroll with 10 of those, that's, you have to do the math. I can't do that shit in my head.
Yeah. Well, the
1,500 gold.
Yeah, 1,500, yeah.
That one's easy. So, yeah, I mean, it's just a matter of time, however much time you want to spend there. If you wanted 10, that's at least 2 weeks. If you're doing a smaller amount, they certainly might have some there. They would have a couple on hand, but if you want 10, that would take 2 weeks.
Okay.
That's the first level version. Now the other one, it takes like 3 or 4 days to make one. So depending
sure.
on,
and if I'm not high enough for level for the spell, there's a chance the scroll fails. Is that correct?
right, you could, and that's also something you could look at, having ones that are divine instead of arcane as well, because I'm not entirely sure. Let's see, arcane. Yep. Okay, so you would need to be 5th level to cast the arcane version of Protection from 10 foot to not have the opportunity to fail. So your 1 level difference, that's 5% chance to fail, I believe. So very small chance, but
yeah. Okay. I guess I will stock up on those then. I got to see how much money I got. Because we're fighting all sorts of evil, and that will just be useful. Okay, 150. Platinum converts what? 5 gold per platinum?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Next, Nasa Pima Petatalon.
Yeah, you can just call him Nas.
He tells you, he says, "You do know if you use that, you will not hear me."
Of course.
Okay. That's his only message to you about that topic.
But, it's necessary sometimes. Especially for my companions.
Says they're especially useful against demons. And he says the word with just disgust.
Demons?
Yeah.
Isn't he a demon?
No. And he's like, do you actually say that?
No.
Okay.
I thought that imps were a subform of demon, but
no, closets are demons, imps are devils.
Okay.
And they hate each other. Demons and devils do not like each other at all.
Yeah, I hate those demons. Demons suck. But devils, you guys are cool. All right. It looks like yes. I've got enough. I've got enough money to buy 2 of those protection scrolls for individual, so
Okay. If you need to go back and check with everybody, and they certainly can wait for you to do that if you want to talk to your party members, collect some more money, and come back. But they will give you 2 now. If you need more, you can come back. They're very interested in bulk orders.
Of course. All right. Well, we'll see what happens. Other than that, I'm done.
Alrighty, so everybody does all their errands and comes back, and you guys meet for a meal at a day or that evening or a day later, however long it takes. So you guys can have a discussion on whatever it is you want to do from here.
Yeah, sounds like we just need to wait on the sage at this point, and so I will talk to them about the, because Jareth has come back and talked about some healing salves or whatever that kind of work like the ointment, and so I'll kind of talk to him, trying to figure out what the difference is between the healing potions and these healing salves are, and whether they're worth the time and that type of thing. Try and figure out whether we want to have him go back and buy those.
Are you asking me or your party? I'm not clear.
The party.
Okay.
Thoughts? Ideas? Opinions?
If they are Kyotom's ointment, they're what, three doses each. And
That's what the man said.
And it actually cures a lot of things, not just like a heal potion.
He said it's the equivalent of Kyotom's ointment, so we can expect the same.
And are you going to tell us about the dust or whatever that you...
Yeah, I'll tell you about the salt and iron mix. So long as it's not an elemental from the ocean where it's already salty. The salt and iron mix, if you put down oil and then lay down the salt and iron mix on the oil, it will prevent the passage of an elemental of the water variety.
Well, that sounds pretty unique. Bias, do you have any experience with alchemy, herbalism type stuff?
I actually am skilled in herbalism. Let's see, skills. Side-based tabs. Okay. Yes, I am skilled in herbalism. Not alchemy though.
There may actually be an alchemy skill in the Wizard's Handbook. I'll have to look. But go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Yeah, no, it's okay. Yeah, I didn't look in the Wizard's Handbook. I probably just pulled these from the Player's Handbook when I got them. Yeah, it's a shame we can't get our hands on some dust of dryness. That's something that just popped into my head. It's a magical dust that I've heard about. Never had my hands on it yet, but supposedly there is a dust that has a magical property that, when cast at a body of water, it turns it into a hard pellet. I can imagine that a water elemental probably would not like being doused with the stuff. But I'm not sure where to get that.
Was it something you could talk to the folks at the Mage Tower about? Assuming there is one?
I could ask, but I would imagine if it is available, it would probably be very expensive.
Gotcha.
So it's worth checking into.
All right. So this Bias, do you have alchemy or herbalism?
I do have herbalism, but I do not have alchemy.
Sorry, I meant Bjarni. Get your names.
No, I don't. I have herbalism too.
Yeah, I'm just curious if you Bias, if you think this is like the real deal, this dust here, or whether you think this is a hoax, because this guy's also got the equivalent of ointments we could go pick up too. But if you think these items are suspect, then maybe we want to take a pass.
That's a good question. Could I make a spellcraft check, Mike, to have to assess the potential efficiency of this snake oil?
Of the salt water or salt and iron stuff?
Correct, yeah.
Sure. Give me a herbalism check and a spellcraft check, and do it in the tower, please. with your knowledge of you assume that anything that's created or summoned um, has to have some sort of magic to block it. But you're also aware that there are certain things that are um, inherently repulsive to certain things from those planes. And while you've never heard of somebody using this particular mixture, you are aware that alchemists are able to make, non-magical things that do work in the similar fashion that, a magic spell would. So I know that may not, I don't know, that's what you know.
Okay. All right. Well, there you go. So it potentially is nothing better than bug repellent, rather than something that will provide a real barrier like a spell would.
All right. So here's the thing: how you fix for money?
Me personally?
You personally? Because I'm broke. I ain't got shit.
I just spent a ass.
Are we all together here?
Yes, everybody's together. That's kind of the point.
Garten just, guys, we've got cash.
Okay, well, I not we have cash.
Yes,
I've got shit.
We as a party have the money.
Okay, so let's do this tomorrow. Why don't the three of you guys go down to this shop where we bought the dust and where he has the healing salves, and see if you guys can kind of get an idea of whether this guy's really like a snake oil salesman or whether his shit's for real. And if you think the shit's for real, then go ahead and work out the best deal you can on those 3 healing salves, because that ointment has come in very handy. So if we can, having 3 more of those would be a really big deal. Does that sound like a plan?
Sounds good.
All right. Anything else you guys want to discuss?
I'm good.
Take that as a no. We'll go to the next day. You guys that are going to go to the alchemy shop with Jareth in the lead. And when he comes in, the shopkeeper is happy to see him. It says he's happy to see you, and he's looking forward to doing business with you again. What can I do for you?
Excellent. So about those ointments that you told me about.
Oh, my healing salves. Yes, they are very good. In fact, I've sold 1. I've only got 2 left now. But you're very welcome to purchase them.
Gentlemen, what do you think?
Can he describe those salves again? Can we see the?
Oh,
item?
he'll bring it. It's like, it looks like a small round, sort of salve that you open up. It doesn't look the same color and shade as the Kingdom's Ointment. I think the way we used to describe the Kingdom's Ointment were little Carmex jars with. This is a little, about the size of a snuff can, and it looks white, but it is, similar. It's a salve that you would put on the wound. He says now. If you're comparing this to the magical version, it is not exactly the same. Obviously, we can't replicate everything perfectly, but it will heal for as much as the Kingdom's Ointment does. And he doesn't use the term Kingdom's Ointment; he calls it whatever they would there. It's not Kingdom, but that type of thing. His description of it. He says it will heal you for you put on that wound, and it will heal for the same as the magical version would. So in short, he's telling you that it won't cure disease or poison or that sort of stuff. Correct. But that said, I mean, just statistically, it's the amount healed from Kingdom's Ointment is pretty good.
And what's the active ingredient in it? What is he?
In case you have an allergy.
That's you want to join the alchemy guild and go to school and become an alchemist. I will be happy to pass on my knowledge. Otherwise, buy it and be happy it works.
What was the price on this again?
850 gold
for both.
Each.
Yeah, sorry, pal. That white stuff's like Vaseline you're gonna rub on my ass before you fuck me, isn't it?
Oh man,
that's bullshit. 800. No, I'm sorry. Baez is laughing. I'm going. I can't hang around and talk to this dude anymore. Sorry about that. That was just Baez.
That's okay. No, you're
getting
fine.
outraged.
It's 3 doses per, you said, right, Mike?
Mm-hmm.
Just comparable to an extra heal potion, because you can take that in 3 doses.
Yeah, but it's also eight plus a D4, whereas the other one is D8 plus 3 for if you drink the whole thing. So I mean the you do the math on how it is you want to do it, but I mean they're comparative for sure, but it heals for more overall.
And he only has 2 left. He's wanting 1,700 gold.
he may give you a discount for buying both. He did with the dust.
That's true.
He also may give you a discount because you've already purchased the 3 dust. You may be, yeah. Jareth has probably got some pull with this guy since he's a return customer.
He would if his friend that he brought in wouldn't have just called him a charlatan snake oil salesman.
Yeah, and I use some ripe language too doing it because Baez is just outraged. He thinks this
I
guy
apologize
is a snake
for
oil
my
salesman.
friend. I apologize for my friend.
Alchemists are nothing more than wannabe wizards, and
woof. We're never going to be able to buy anything from this gentleman again.
I'm out in the street now, so you're not hearing me mutter that.
So do alchemists have any use of any certain gems or anything and things that they brew up? I'm asking him.
They would be more interested in pieces and parts of things, and vials of chemicals and every little part, from things, trolls and dragons and giants and that
lizard
sort of thing.
tails and that such
yeah,
things.
Yeah. Rare components that you can find.
I'm asking because I don't know about alchemists if they use gems and stuff, powders and powders of gems and stuff like that. I don't know.
Jareth, give me a 2d10 in tower, please.
2d10, a percentage or 2d10?
No, just 2d10. Let her roll 2d10.
I'm just stoked I remembered how to do that.
Well, I appreciate it. So with your response and the way you acted and spoke to him, he's like okay, whatever. When in response to what Bias said to him, he was kind of insulted, but you spoke to him and kind of, he seems to, he's not happy about it, but he's not up, he's not angry anymore. You don't think he's gonna rip you off, but he's probably not going to give you any amazing deals because of that.
Yeah.
In any case, yeah. So, Garton, were you finished talking to him?
Yeah, he was just wondering if they had used it. He was genuinely asking him.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, you know, if you can bring him any kind of strange things, you know, he can certainly work out trades on that kind of stuff.
I'll certainly be on the lookout for that. And back to your little containers of ointment. Garton pulls out 15 brown spindles. I said, would this be enough to cover it?
Do you remember how much those are worth each?
Yeah, but I'm asking him if he knows what they're worth.
And I'm asking you as the DM how much they're worth. Otherwise, I'm going to have to open up your sheet and look myself.
They're 100 gold each.
He pulls out this kind of weird looking magnifying glass. It's got multiple magnifiers on front of it. And he kind of looks at it. And as you look, you can kind of see from the side when he's looking at it, it kind of changes the way it looks to where it's, you know, he can see the shape and style. And you get the impression he's not looking at how clear it is or anything. He's like, oh, yes, yeah, I'll take these. Here you go. And he just slides the things to it, and he's disinterested in them, but looking at the gems like he's got plans to do something with them.
Okay. I'm going to change my...
So I will put those in the inventory thing. I'm going to call them something. For now, I'm going to leave the name, but I'm going to tweak the name. We'll call it...
I'm assuming they report back to the party? Is that correct? Hello?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So Wilson, how does this work after I got rezzed? Do I get rezzed with 1 hit point? I'm pretty sure that my guy showed just 1 hit point or something like that. Or when he gets rezzed, does he come back to? You tell me.
You've been training for 2 weeks, so in that time you would certainly be able to heal back to what you need to be.
Okay, but all that training and stuff we're talking about, that's all happening while we're doing all this.
Okay. And I guess what you're trying to say is you would like to test it to see if it works.
Yeah, see if I'm injured. If I'm injured, I'm just gonna go just to make sure. I'm gonna go grab one of those healing salves and use a charge of it on myself to see if it heals me. You see what I'm?
Yeah, I certainly understand what you want, and if you want to, you can do that before you're. You would certainly can use it to maybe put on your chest where, because your lungs are probably damaged from being filled with water or whatever it was, that kind of stuff, and you can certainly try to do that. You're not at you're not at full health.
Because I'm assuming they've communicated. Probably Baez has come back and he's like, oh, that guy's full of shit, overpriced, selling crap or whatever. So he's kind of got me a little suspect, and so I'm just like, oh well, give it to me. Let me see. I'm not at 100% yet. Let's see if this helps me out. And I'm going to use a charge on myself to see what the effect is.
I'm going to try something real quick. They've got this assignment option that I have never used. I'm gonna try to use it and see what happens. I just crashed it. No, it did what I thought it would do. So what it did is it gave you both of the salves. And if you want to give one to somebody else, you can throw one back in the party sheet, but that's okay. That lets me know how, because I've never even paid attention to that. So now if I want to give something to somebody, I don't have to ask. I can just do it on my own, as long as there's not a whole bunch of other junk in the party sheet. So mark a use off. Each one of them has 3 uses. So what I would do is it won't put 3 powers, of each of those. It's only going to put 1 in your list of powers. So you can either, change that number from 3 to 6 and then mark one off, or you can just give one of them away, put it in the party sheet and let somebody else deal with it.
So you gave me
healing salve.
Okay, healing salve. So you did that, and I see 2 healing salves. Now in my actions, I see Keegum's ointment and magical Keegum's ointment.
Let me look.
Right?
Maybe. Oh, I know why. Yeah, I didn't change the name of the power.
Okay.
So let me do that real quick. We'll just call it healing staff. Yeah, I just changed the actual name of the item. I didn't change the name of the power. So.
Got it.
But that's
so I'm going to put
it.
a charge on that, and what happens?
It works.
Hey,
you get back
it works.
a D4 plus 8 hit points.
Okay, got it. All right, so there we go. So I can come back. I was like, Baez, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about, man. This shit's the bomb.com. And
yeah, we'll see when you have worked out
dude.
this function in a week.
Seriously, no, this is good stuff.
You start sprouting hair out of your ears and shit. Don't come talking to me.
Okay. It doesn't feel quite the same. It doesn't feel quite the same as the ointment, but it definitely makes me feel noticeably better. And and so I will keep this one on me, because I still have one charge left of the Keegum's ointment. But this other healing salve is up for grabs for whoever wants it, and I'll just transfer it to them.
Yeah, if you'll throw it in the party sheet, I will go ahead and fix the power name, so they'll get whenever they put it in their inventory, they'll see that right as well.
Yeah. So if I just drag it over there, does it only put one?
I think you have to hold one of the keys. I don't know because I don't ever do it. Try shift and drag. That does. That works.
There we go. That brought one.
Set the power.
I think it works better, Grimlock, if you smear it directly on your bunghole.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
So I did that, but I don't see it in my inventory anymore. Yeah, I don't. The ability's not there either. So I did shift and dragged it over, and it put one in the party sheet, but the one that was in my inventory is gone.
Let's see. Is it moving it? Is it copying it? Alt. What does Alt do? You tried shift?
I did shift, yeah.
And it moved all of them when I did that.
Now I shift and I clicked on the wheel or the circle and drag.
There it is. It's Alt. You hold the Alt key when you move it, and it only moves a single one.
Okay, and I rechecked off that charge on the one that's in my inventory now. So whoever wants to take the other healing salve, that still has 3 charges, so you can put it in your...
Alrighty, so
everybody had some kind of healing, right? Luke, did Miramar have healing?
I have healing.
Does Baez want any of this ointment?
No, thanks. I'm not interested in growing a third eye or anything like that.
Oh, if he gets hurt, you know what kind of ointment we're going to put on him, right?
And you never know. It may only react to wizards. Yeah. Because it's magic.
I grabbed the other one.
Okay. All right. So do we want to fast forward to the 2 weeks later when you guys are trained and you're ready to speak to the sage?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Because we're getting kind of late here.
We're at that point now.
Yeah. So you guys, is everybody going to this meeting?
I don't see why not.
Okay.
We're invited, certainly.
She'll only talk to Grimlock, but we can be there to listen.
I mean, I'm assuming I will have been talking to her periodically over the 2 weeks, so I will ask her. I have not been talking to her at all?
No, she's busy. She doesn't accept visitors when she's doing research.
How do I know that she's done?
She told you to come back in 2 weeks.
Right. So this is me coming back in 2 weeks, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So I go in by myself and I ask her if when I come to see her, I'll be like, is now a good time, or do I need to give you some?
So when you arrive, she's got this elaborate dinner table thing set up with tablecloth, the whole candle things right down the middle, giant turkey, all kinds of things, bottles of wine, everything, and there's like 2 chairs, opposite ends of the table, and she's got this stack of scrolls and books and other things in there. She says it's perfect time. You ready?
Two chairs.
Yeah, I got it. So I said, well, I've actually got my whole party here, because they're all very interested in what you have to say. But why don't I tell them to go get lost for an hour or something, and let's enjoy dinner first?
She says it's going to take more than an hour, sweetie.
Oh, you've been asking around? It's all right.
It's okay.
So I'll go tell the party, hey guys, look, she wants a private meeting. I'm gonna try and get when she's ready to divulge whatever information. I'll try and get you guys in there. But for right now, I think it'd probably be best if it was just me. What can I say? She likes what she sees. So why don't you guys go get lost for a couple hours? Go polish your staff or whatever.
So you can polish yours?
We'll see how things go.
All right, so you come in and you've told everybody else to bugger off. She pours some wine and makes some gets some plates with various things in them. She sits down, and as soon as you guys start eating, she starts giving off details of what she's found out. One of the first things she says is that she had your saliva analyzed because of the particular creature you encountered leaves a residue that can be detected, and she did that, and she calls it is a weird water elemental. They're not like normal water elementals. Some people call them water weirds, but they are very deadly, but they are also generally tied to a water source. In fact, most of the water elementals are tied to a specific water source. So if you see one, they can't get too far from wherever it is the water is that they're from. So if there is one somewhere, there is a nearby water source of some kind. She says if you find yourself up against a water weird, the best thing to use is blunt weapons, and they don't need to be magic, but they need to be blunt. You can use your slashing and piercing weapons. Barely will affect them at all, magic or not. She also says, which you are already well aware, that their primary attack is to drown you in their own sort of fluids. Now, when she goes on to start talking about water elementals, and she says if you need to fight them, the primary if you're using weapons, she's assuming you're the one that's interested in this, so you need to use magic weapons. She says you can't use mundane magic. So you can take that to mean whatever you want, but outside of out of character, she's saying +1 weapons are not going to work. So make of that what you will.
Okay.
But other than that, they are like water weirds in that they need to stick near their source. So if they aren't near their water source, they are weakened, and the farther they get away from that, they are weaker. That said, she is kind of interested more in discussing the temple itself. She did some research on the temple from some of the soldiers that returned. They, wrote stories or that sort of thing, when they came back, the years before. And the way that she understood that the temple is working is that they have created these nodes, these elemental nodes. They're not the elemental planes themselves. They have sliced off a piece, and they are siphoning power from the primary elemental planes, in that way, so that they can power something. What that is, she's not sure, but and the people that went there weren't sure. They couldn't close them down when they were there. They didn't know how. And this is not something that, you go try to find somebody that knows anything about that, and you'll be a rich person, because nobody is talking about that. And she's like, now that I know this, I am going. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go talk to. She spouts off some city council and person that she's going to go talk to, and says something must be done, because there's no telling what they're going to be doing down there and that sort of stuff. But so she explains all that. She does say that she knows that you guys are working for Jolene to go down there and try to find something about Thrommel, and maybe find out what's going on in the temple while you're there as well. But she says Thrommel also traveled with someone called Falrinth, which was his sort of chamberlain, or not chamberlain, his, he was a wizard. He used magic spells, arcane magic, and such, but he was sort of his person that he spoke to for information on, the arcane, that sort of thing. But so he is gone too. They don't know where he is. But other than that, that's the information she has. I will give you the opportunity to maybe ask questions and maybe give more detail on specific topics that she might have picked up, but by and large, that's what she talks about. And that takes a good, the way she explains the details she gives, that's like 2 hours right there.
Okay, so wow, that sounds like really good information, and yeah, that water weird that you're calling it, weird elemental, that was something else. But it's really nice to know that that he was tied to the font that that he existed in, because I didn't realize it at the time. I suspected that he would chase us around, so I was really afraid of what that guy was going to do to us. So so that being said, we've already encountered, as I've told you, we've encountered earth elementals in this temple. They're not there anymore, or at least not that I've seen. But I suspect that we will probably encounter other elementals while we're in there, possibly even fire elementals or something like that. Or do the same type of rules apply to them, where they're tied to a specific source and they need, enhanced magic weapons to hit, etc., etc.? Can I assume that it's going to be the same for them?
Well, she does tell you with certainty. She says you are absolutely going to find fire, air, and earth creatures there. Based on her knowledge, what she's researched, she is, almost 100% certain that all 4 elements will be there. And what, she's not exactly sure what elemental form they will take. The elemental plane of fire has, other than just fire elementals, there's also salamanders and fire lizards and fire bats and red dragons and all kinds of things come from there. So she's not, she can't give you certainties on what will be there. But she can say, let's see. The fire elementals cannot cross non-flammable liquids. So like a river or a large pool or something. Like if a fire elemental is chasing you, you go across a river and they can't chase you, sort of thing.
Okay.
They can certainly do like a quick sort of dive or something into the water. But they can't, it's not something they can do extended, or, she says they can't cross it. Let's see. Air animals there's no real vulnerability with them because air is everywhere. They can't really be, there's no, unless you have a way to pull all the air out of the air, they're pretty safe. They're not vulnerable. But in that case, you probably would die too. But they are protect. You also would need to use magic weapons against them, similar to the way she said the water elementals earlier.
Yeah.
Not mundane ones. And lastly, those are the only two. Oh, earth elementals. And earth elementals, to do it's kind of the same sort of effect that the water ones. They can't get too far away from water. If you are on the ground fighting, and it doesn't literally mean dirt, but if you are on the ground and they are hitting you while you're on the ground, they do more damage to you while you're on the ground than if you were flying and they hit you. They wouldn't do as much damage to you if you were off the ground.
Okay.
Oh. And as far as she can tell you, there from the elemental plane of Earth, there are creatures called sandlings, and there's actually a race of people called the Peck, and they're not evil, but you probably won't see them. They can traverse through rocks and dirt, and so more than likely they'll stay away from you. Let's see. That's really all she's aware of. She does know there is also supposedly rulers in the elemental planes that are far more powerful than the typical water elemental or fire elemental. And they're generally referred to as the princes of that particular, like a fire elemental prince sort of thing. But
okay.
Nobody knows much about that, and all she is aware that they probably exist, or she thinks they do.
Well, we've definitely seen portals to the elemental planes in there. Not that we've been tempted to go through them, but they are there.
While you were saying to the elemental plane, she raised her finger and said, "They're not. That's not the elemental planes. Those are nodes. They're not connected to the elemental plane of fire or whatever. They are a node pulled off from it. So it's kind of different. I know it's a little thing, but it's different."
So, can we expect to find Princess through those portals, or no?
What she says, well, the main difference would be that the nodes are not as like if you went to elemental plane of fire, you would immediately incinerate and die. The elemental nodes, not so much. You at least from her research, she believes that while it may be extremely hot there and you may take some damage from that if you don't prepare by protecting yourselves, it's not just burning pillar of flame. It is, it could be chambers that are burned out from a volcano, or if you go to the water node, it may be a giant ocean instead of just water as far as you can see, and you drown immediately, sort of thing. Same thing with air and earth.
Yeah, well, I'll kind of, I'll thank her for the information and everything. I'll kind of, pick up my axe and say, that this axe is, I've had done so many epic things with this axe, but it doesn't sound like this is going to do me any good when it comes to those elementals. It's unfortunate. I'll keep my eye out for something that might help me. As it is right now, it sounds like we need to. Our best strategy is to avoid them, because I don't think we have the means to deal with them, based on what you're telling me.
She's tells you need to be careful, certainly, and she doesn't want you to die. She certainly wants you to come back and tell her all that you find.
Yep. So I'm gonna ask her. This is really a lot of information, and and me, I know a lot about swinging and punching and taking things down, but a lot of what you said may resonate better with some of my party members. Would you mind if I brought them in here to see if they had any questions for you? I assure you, they're great people, and they have nothing but the best intentions.
Yeah, she seems to be happy with your kind of being polite, and you've been very nice, and she liked doing the research you sent her after. She was very interested in doing so. She's like, as long as they're good people, yeah, they can come in.
Okay, so I'll go outside and see if I can find the party members. They're probably being bored somewhere, or maybe they're drinking at the end or whatever. And I'll explain to them that, hey, look, she's really got a lot of information. I'll kind of give them the highlights. And I wanted to give you guys the opportunity to ask questions, since some of what she's talking about is not necessarily my specialty. But keep in mind that that she's, a very knowledgeable person. So please treat her with respect. And with that, I'll bring the party in.
Alrighty. So, what questions do you guys have, if any?
And you can assume that I've communicated the highlights of what you just said to you.
Yep. Alrighty, so we're done with that.
I can't think of anything. I'm trying to think of something, but
Bill?
Yeah. I don't know. I can't think of anything.
Robbie?
Well, we could ask her about this salt and iron filing mix, if that really sounds like something that would work based on what she knows now.
Go ahead.
I tell you what. Let's see if she's even heard of that. Sorry, I'm trying to make this where I get to my thing. She kind of laughs. Said, I've never heard of that, but I'm no alchemist. So I can't say nothing that in my research suggested that that would have any effect on them.
Fair enough. I appreciate the info.
I like this lady already.
Okay, so with that, I'll thank her very much for all her efforts, and tell her that I look forward to speaking to her in the future, with reports from the temple about what we find. And, of course, if I have any more questions or anything, I will come by. Just keep in mind that this is a significant distance from the temple itself, so my visits won't be frequent.
Of course. I look forward to all of them with anticipation. Sorry. I'm not going to play a sexy dwarf. That's just not going to happen.
No, I don't expect you to.
But that's kind of the response that she gives you. She's very interested in hearing everything you can and bringing it back. She tells you, she says, if you can bring me back any kind of scrolls or books, even if they seem mundane to you, I will keep looking into various things at the temple. As long as you can provide me some new information.
So, do you guys have any books or scrolls that you picked up that were kind of like flavor text kind of things?
I do not.
Like RP stuff, not like magic items kind of?
Not me.
No, not me.
The only thing I have is maybe like the robes and stuff like that we got, but I don't think that's something she can help. I'm looking through my inventory. Soiled moss green robe.
She's
Crimson Robe.
You did mention the robes during the discussions
Okay.
that you had. And so one thing I will pass on, this is something that she showed you, and I will share that. There you go.
There I go. What happened?
I shared a picture.
Oh, got it. Oh, the picture. Duh.
Yeah, an actual handout thing, not something I'm just speaking on. Sorry, I should have said that.
Got it. Okay. So we've got a silk crimson robe with gold skull. That's obviously not an elemental thing. And on this is just symbols. It's not colors, right?
Right.
Okay. So do we have any clothing items that we've picked up that have these symbols?
The only symbol that matches this stuff that you've gotten so far that I remember is the tabard that the ogre was wearing that you guys killed.
Oh yeah, that's right. And it had a circle on it, right? Didn't it?
Yep, it did.
Okay. Oh.
Now the triangle is definitely something you saw in the Earth Temple. I mean, there was places where there were triangles in various places.
Okay. All right. So this is the last chance, guys, for town shit. And then we're done with town. I have thoroughly towned it out tonight. I have no more town shit to do.
Well, I'm very impressed with all the research and preparation and stuff that you guys did. I hope that it paid off with the information that you got.
Yeah, absolutely. We don't often come back to this town, so I wanted to take advantage of it while we're here.
No, absolutely, and I'm really glad that you did because it gave me opportunity to kind of give you some more details that may be of use. And since I tell you what we can do is next time we play, we can just hand wave traveling back to town, and I assume you're going to go back to the temple. Is that correct?
Yeah, not the room with the water weird though.
Yeah, what we'll do is we'll just say in the meantime, you guys are traveling back to Hamlet, and going to be camping at the river to the west of the temple, and when we start, we'll have you guys right, within short travel to there, and we'll start from there. That way we can just get right into it.
Yep.
That's okay.